There once was a man who lived in a quiet village surrounded by hills and trees, where people believed that life was shaped by actions and actions alone. Words, they said, were fleeting, mere sounds that vanished into the wind. But this man, named Elias, believed otherwise. He wasn't a scholar, nor was he particularly gifted. He was a cobbler. He fixed shoes and lived modestly in a small house at the edge of the village. Elias had a habit that most villagers found strange. Every morning before the sun rose, he would step outside, place his hand over his heart and whisper something into the air. Nobody knew what he said. Children would spy on him, giggling from behind trees, wondering if he was casting spells or speaking to ghosts. But Elias paid them no mind. In truth, each morning he said the same thing. You are kind, you are strong, and you're worthy of joy. He wasn't speaking to anyone else, he was speaking to himself. You see, Elias hadn't always believed in the power of words. When he was younger, he had been a bitter man, quick to anger and even quicker to judge. He spoke without thinking, sharp with his tongue, careless with his phrases. And as the years went on, his words built walls between him and everyone he loved. Friends drifted away. His own brother stopped speaking to him. Customers avoided his shop. And one day, standing alone in the silence of his workshop, Elias realized something profound. He had used his voice as a weapon, and it had left him isolated. So he changed, slowly, quietly. Every morning he reminded himself of who he wanted to be. Not who he was, but who he was becoming. He began choosing his words carefully, not just with others, but with himself. Because he had learned something most people never do: the way we speak shapes what we believe, and what we believe shapes how we live. One cold winter morning, a boy named Thomas came into Elias's shop. He was 10 years old, poor and barefoot. His shoes had long since fallen apart. Elias looked at the boy's feet, red, cracked, trembling, and without a word he disappeared into the back of his shop. He returned with an old but well-made pair of shoes and knelt down to put them on the boy. "They're not new," Elias said, "but they'll last." Thomas stared at him, confused. "Why are you giving me these?" Elias just smiled. "Because someone once told me kindness never wastes its way back." The boy said nothing, but the look in his eyes said everything. Elias never saw him again. Not that winter, not the next. Years passed. Seasons changed. The village grew. People moved in. And little by little, Elias's name began to carry a different tone. He wasn't the quiet cobbler anymore. He was the man who listened, the man who spoke gently, who never raised his voice even when others did. His business grew, not because he was the best cobbler, but because people felt better after talking to him. They said it was something in the way he spoke, how he made them feel seen, heard, and safe. Then one spring morning, Elias woke up to a knock at his door. A tall man stood outside, well-dressed, confident, and smiling. He looked familiar, but Elias couldn't place him. "You probably don't remember me," the man said, "but you gave me shoes once." It was Thomas. Not a boy anymore, but a man. He had become a teacher in a nearby city. He had come back, not to return the shoes, but to return the words. "You said something to me once," Thomas explained. "Kindness never wastes its way back. I never forgot that. I carried it with me. On days when I felt like I didn't matter, when I thought no one cared, your voice echoed in my head, and I believed it. I became a man because of that sentence." Elias stood in silence, unsure of what to say. He had given a pair of old shoes, but the words, they had traveled further than he ever could. Thomas reached into his bag and pulled out a small book. "I'm writing a collection," he said. "Stories about people who changed my life with a sentence. You're the first chapter." That night, Elias sat in his workshop long after dark. No candle, no tools, just the hum of the quiet village and the weight of something real. Something he had always known but never fully grasped. Words matter. They are seeds, planted in silence, watered by time, and blooming in places we may never see. A word can wound, a word can heal. A word can lift someone from despair or push them over the edge. We speak them so casually, so carelessly, never fully knowing what they carry, and yet they carry everything. The next morning, Elias stepped outside once more. The sun hadn't risen yet, and the dew still clung to the earth. He placed his hand over his heart, and for the first time he whispered something new. "Your words are your legacy." He looked up at the sky, smiled, and walked back inside, ready to begin another quiet day, never knowing which sentence might change someone's life. And so, Remember this, you don't have to be powerful to use powerful words. You don't need a stage or a title or 1,000 followers. All it takes is a sentence, spoken kindly, offered freely. One sentence whispered to yourself or given to a stranger can echo for years, maybe even forever. So the next time you speak, choose carefully, because somewhere someone might be building their life around the words you leave behind.